Smash! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to John Dudley Speaks. I'm your host, Hogan's. Just picture that they're green. I couldn't CGI them in, and I didn't have enough time to buy them on Amazon. Wait, they're $20? No way. Today is a special day in the John Dudley Speaks canon, as we will be starting a new segment called John Dudley Ranks, and I'll be ranking stuff. So that's pretty much it.
What did you expect?
No need to delay us any further because I will be ranking the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1, starting with 2008's Iron Man and working all the way up to 2012's Marvel's The Avengers. 6 films that changed the course of blockbuster filmmaking. Forever. But hey, that doesn't mean that some aren't just straight trash. This movie is just really puzzling to me. Tonally, it knows what it wants to be, but unfortunately, it just wants to be a completely fucking boring movie. Edward Norton is so poorly cast as Banner, and his forced rewrites did not help the storyline one bit. Liv Tyler is basically useless in her role as Betty, and William Hurt as Ross really looks like a cartoon. Yet the whole atmosphere of the movie is grounded. I'm not sure what they're going for here. Also, the action lacks a visceral aspect that's needed in a Hulk-led film. So in that regard, it doesn't really stand out from Ang Lee's 2003 adaptation. That wasn't a great movie, but it still managed to make Hulk feel bold and colorful and not from this world. Instead, in this movie, the action scenes just come off as cookie cutter and formulaic. However, there are 3 saving graces in this one. 1, that's Tim Blake Nelson looking awesome and doing his quirky shtick. 2, Emil Blonsky is kind of cool in his awkward soldier state. And Tim Roth does everything he can to ground the character here. Easily the best actor in this movie. And 3, the Hulk's design ain't that bad. It's surprisingly gritty and just has enough of that green to stand out during the fight scenes, even if the fight scenes don't really work on the whole. But yeah, I'd probably give this one a 4.25 out of 10. If you want to waste your time during an MCU rewatch, put this one on. It'll get the job done. I struggle with this movie, mainly because it's an early MCU movie that I desperately want to like, but it just goes out of its way to do the exact opposite. At least we get this amazing line read, though.
You love that bird, don't you? You know what? Take the bird. Hey!
I know a lot of this can be attributed to the flighty nature of the way this movie was produced, with the script being written on the fly while they were shooting and Kevin Feige still figuring out the early parts of this universe. I give this a pass, but it's just so sloppily put together that you can't help but see the cracks as the movie progresses. The story is built on wobbly foundations and the tone is mixed at best and sprawling at worst. Everything with Samuel L. Jackson as Fury and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow feels tacked on. The Russian accent that Mickey Rourke uses is pretty bad, and the birthday party scene could have been used to further our connection with Tony's character, especially in the comics when he had a much harder time with addiction. But since the script was in shambles at the time of shooting, there's no attention paid to this conflict outside of some surface level recklessness. Some highlights here are Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, of course, his interplay with Paltrow, with Cheadle, and especially the biggest standout here, Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, are all terrific. And Favreau directs the action scenes in this one very patiently, not to mention that Iron Man just looks awesome on a design level. Way better than he'd look with the synthetic stuff later. It's just disappointing because you can kind of see that the movie that they were going for, but the studio pushing them into production really made sure that that wasn't realized. So I'm thinking 6.25 out of 10. Not bad, but if you want to have some laughs and see some fun action, you'll have a good time. Another! Kenneth Branagh's Thor is the definition of safe. No glaring issues, no astounding moments, just an enjoyable movie. Chris Hemsworth plays the brash sibling pretty well, and his arc, while basic, is overall fulfilled in a solid way. The supporting cast on Earth does well too, specifically Kat Dennings. We got Hawkeye in a cameo, we got Coulson killing it, but where we get more interesting is Asgard. Idris Elba rocks, Anthony Hopkins is great as expected, these 4 appear, Rene Russo is there. I'm of course building up to the talk of the town here, which is Tom Hiddleston as Loki, who gives literally everything he has to this performance. His first time playing the villain is sharp and calculated and conniving, living up to the Loki in the comics and the mythos. Branagh's direction is fine. I think his Shakespearean work is far better, and the use of the Dutch angles might be a little bit too much. And the story is fairly bland and predictable. Again, not bad, but just safe. Yeah, I'd say it's a 7 out of 10. A fish out of water movie that happens to have a rainbow bridge, a faceless metal demon, and Natalie Portman phoning it in more than she ever has. So, it's fun. Now we're getting somewhere. This movie is super underrated. Not only is Chris Evans the pitch perfect casting of Captain America, but he really delivers a layered performance that's among the best of the entire MCU. Joe Johnston is behind the camera on this one, and nobody knows how to blend classic era filmmaking and style with modern earnestness better. Major Rocketeer vibes from this one. Sure, the story's super predictable and the action's super predictable, like pretty much every beat here isn't really a surprise, but it's not trying to be anything more than what it is. An idealistic action drama about keeping your spark even when you don't really need to have it anymore. It's not needlessly optimistic, and in fact, it matches the optimism of its central character, and to me, that fits the themes and the tone so well. Haley Atwell is awesome, Tommy Lee Jones is hilarious, Stanley Tucci brought tears to my eyes, and Sebastian Stan is, well, we'll talk about him in a later video. Great movie that reminds you that superheroes should feel larger than life, and it's honestly the closest movie that we have in the modern era to the 1978 Superman. 8 out of 10, and enjoy the crap out of this movie on your MCU rewatch because it has more heart than most movies that come after. Why didn't DC just do the same thing that Marvel was doing in building up their team? 2012's The Avengers is one of the most important blockbusters ever made, and it's up there with The Dark Knight in terms of its influence on modern franchise filmmaking. Kevin Feige and Joss Whedon prove on this crossover that putting puzzle pieces in place to reach a climactic storyline across different film series is not only possible, but in fact the new way to make movies. I mean, just look at all the franchises that tried to do this after the MCU succeeded, and look at all the ones that failed.
They're the same picture.
My complaints are solely with the visuals in this movie, mainly because Whedon's blocking of scenes are a little low rent and television based. On rewatch, it's an awkward experience, but it doesn't take you out of it, partly because the script is excellent and rapid fire paced, and the main cast literally all get their hero moment. RDJ, Evans, and Hemsworth make for a terrific core trio, and the scene where the three fight each other for the first time is absolutely iconic. And that's what makes this movie fly, is its interplay. The fact that we get Renner and Johansson fitting in with larger-than-life characters like Ruffalo's Hulk, way better than Norton by the way, it's just a comic book movie fan's dream. The final battle in New York is a landmark achievement, with Whedon's direction capturing the teamwork and character at the heart of the action. It all tells a story instead of just existing for the sake of, hey, that's cool. 9 out of 10, such a great movie, and I will never forget the first time that I watched it. So much payoff and such effective use of timing. It's a fantastic film full of joy, and even better, more Loki. Seriously, watch this again, and I dare you not to smile when the Hulk does this. Come on, would it be anything else? Looking back on the era that this was made in, we could not have forecasted what was about to come. And to see us go from this to this is kind of fucking insane. But if we backtrack to just the isolated idea of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, a B-tier comic character, in his first major blockbuster since essentially resetting his life, to me, that sounds appealing. I get why people wanted to check this out, because generations like mine and younger forget that Downey Jr. was a decorated actor in his own right for decades, and he shows that off in spades here. 2008's Iron Man is damn near a masterpiece. The only thing holding it back is its casual misogyny, but even still, Jon Favreau keeps us on our toes as we go through this journey with Tony. The suit design is immaculate for 2008, and honestly looks better than any other mark that Iron Man donned in later films. With a mix of practical and CG, Favreau flexes his filmmaking muscles on this one, just like he did on Elf, evoking old Hollywood practices and refreshing them. Because of that, the action pops with vigor and essentiality. Like, it really feels like it's happening as much to us as it is to Tony. We feel every hit, and it crushes us when Tony takes a tumble. And that's due to the grounded world that Favreau and Feige establish at the top of this movie. Also, the skewed commentary on the military-industrial complex and selling war as an ideal to strive for was kind of based for 2008. Not something that you saw in a post-9/11 media landscape. So yeah, this one's a 9.75 out of 10 for me. I adore this movie still to this day, and I rank it among the best of the MCU anything. And without it, the entire framework of franchise filmmaking would not be the same today. Also, origin stories really changed after this. So the fact that its foundation, which is pulling from 1978 Superman, is still being used today shows how much that foundation really works. Go watch it again, and then watch it again. Even if it's just for the dogfights. Alright, that's all I got. See you for phase 2, I guess, whenever I get around to it. Alright, bye.